Welcome to D&D Builds, where we have an outlet to make all sorts of ridiculous Dungeons & Dragons characters and stop driving the people in our lives insane with them. I made a bunch of horror-themed builds on my channel already, but now we need somebody to fight against them, so we're going to be jumping into the worlds of Evil Dead and Army of Darkness to get some help from Ash Williams. Bruce Campbell is the king of one-liners when it comes to this role, so let's figure out how we're going to replace that hand with a chainsaw and sort out a build that we can say it's groovy. First things first, we gotta pick a race, and it's gonna be pretty straightforward. We're just gonna grab variant human. You get a feat when you choose this race, but we're gonna save that for a little bit later so it could be a bit more useful and relate to the build. You also get to choose one skill, so we're just gonna grab persuasion because you're pretty damn charming. And then onto the background, I'm going to go with folk hero because you are a hero told in stories, at least when you go to the Army of Darkness movie and there's kind of like a prophecy about you. But even when you're in modern times, you don't mind telling your own story. This gives you skill proficiencies in animal handling and survival, as well as land vehicles, which makes sense because you know how to drive that car that you turn into a crazy helicopter thing, and you get one type of artisan tools, so we're going to grab Tinkerer's tool. Then when it comes to some stats, Ash isn't overly strong, but he's not a complete weakling, so we're going to keep it at a baseline of 10. Then dexterity we're going to bump up to 14 because you do handle a ranged weapon on occasion, and you do spin around pretty wildly with that chainsaw. Then our constitution we're going to bump to 15 and then get another +1 from our human variant race because you do take a lot of hits and still manage to survive. Then our intelligence and our wisdom we're going to dump. Intelligence is about having a good memory, and you're really not good at that.
Klaatu, Marada. Okay then. That's it.
And I definitely don't see Ash Williams as wise. So we're going to take the rest of our points and put it into charisma, bringing it to 15, and then get another +1 from our human variant, bringing it to 16. Because if there's one thing that both Bruce Campbell and Ash Williams have plenty of, it's charisma. Now it's time to choose a starting class, and the whole story of Evil Dead starts with Ash going out to that cabin in the woods and coming across that evil Book of the Dead, the Necronomicon. He lets that lack of wisdom really shine through, and of course the evil of the book is released. So because of this, we're going to start off with Warlock. At first level of Warlock, you get access to light armor and simple weapons, as well as saving throws in wisdom and charisma. Then you get 2 skills, so we're going to grab Deception and Intimidation, just trying to make use of our charisma as much as possible. Then at first level of Warlock, you get to choose an otherworldly patron, and while we could go with something like a Hexblade to really start off early with that chainsaw for a hand, I think it's a little more fitting to go with an Undead Warlock because it all starts with a Book of the Dead. When you choose this subclass at level 1, you get the feature Form of Dread. So when that evil is trying to take over your body and you get really creepy looking, this is the reason why. If you're in this form, you get temporary hit points equal to 1d10 plus your warlock level, and once on each of your turns when you hit a creature with an attack, you can force it to make a wisdom saving throw, and if it fails that saving throw, it's frightened until the end of your next turn. And finally, you're immune to the frightened condition while you're the one who's being scary. Also at first level of Warlock, you get Pact Magic, which is a very special kind of magic that only Warlocks get access to, giving you access to 2 cantrips and 2 spells. One of the cantrips we're going to grab right off the bat is how you use your gun, and guns do plenty of blasting, so we're going to pick up Eldritch Blast. You only get 1 blast to start, but as you level up, your Eldritch Blast upgrades so you can start blasting in rapid succession. Then the other cantrip we're going to grab, we're going to save until we can get that chainsaw. As far as the 2 spells, I'm going to grab Charm Person because Ash is kind of charming, and Expeditious Retreat, so you can run away as fast as humanly possible. Then at second level of Warlock, you get Eldritch Invocations, boosting up your general Warlock abilities, so we're going to grab Agonizing Blast, allowing you to add your Charisma modifier to the damage of any of those Eldritch Blasts, making it so your gunshots are a little more powerful, and we'll save the other one for next level. But additionally at this level, you get to learn 1 more spell, so we're going to grab Protection from Good and Evil to help protect you against the Deadites. Then at third level of Warlock, you get a Pact Boon, and this is where we really get to start playing it up, because as that evil tries to take over your body, you manage to corner it in your hand, and in order to exorcise that evil, you go ahead and chop that hand right off with your chainsaw. But in order to make sure you can fight off the Deadites as best as possible, you take that chainsaw and strap it to your stump, and considering how much you have to give up in this process, it's only fitting that your Pact Boon is Pact of the Blade. So now we can utilize the other cantrip with Booming Blade, dealing some thunder damage when you hit because chainsaws can be pretty loud. And we're going to boost up that chainsaw even more with the other invocation, Improved Pact Weapon, giving us a +1 to that chainsaw. And then finally you get to learn one more spell that can be up to 2nd level now. So we're going to grab Shadow Blade in case you really want to rev up the chainsaw a hell of a lot more. But now that you've gotten that evil out of your body, at least for the most part, we're going to be jumping into a multi-class at level 4. And before we start mixing it up with other classes, if you want to have an easier time following along, feel free to check out my Patreon linked in the description down below, like these incredible people, or the especially awesome player character level patrons Biscuit Gaming, Zalvador, Keylon, and Lumiere97. Going above and beyond that, there's my Dungeon Master level patrons Devin Happy, Benjamin, Tristan Bennett, GameSteak, Heyo, and Eric Wade. They get additional perks including having D&D sessions hosted by me that I stream right here on YouTube as well as over on Twitch. And then above all else, there's my God tier level patron, Kilo. I try to give him additional perks whenever I can possibly think of them, but he's just so awesome I cannot thank him enough. Now let's go ahead and sort out that multi-class, because with the stats we have, we're a little limited. But Ash is more than willing to fight against the undead, so we're gonna grab Fighter. When you multi-class into Fighter, you get access to medium armor, shields, and martial weapons. And considering we do see Ash wearing some slightly heavier armor, probably under the medium armor category in Army of Darkness, this works perfectly. And now actually jumping into Fighter, at level 1 you get a fighting style. And I was tempted to grab Archery, giving you +2 bonus to attack rolls you make with ranged weapons, and then we can actually pick up a heavy crossbow, or using a gun if your table allows for guns. But I really want to lean into using that Eldritch Blast as your blasty firearm, so instead we're going to boost up our chainsaw abilities with the fighting style Dueling, giving us +2 bonus damage to any attack rolls we make with a one-handed weapon, and I'd say that chainsaw is pretty much the definition of a one-handed weapon. Additionally, at first level you get Second Wind, so you can use a bonus action to regain hit points equal to 1d10 plus your fighter level. Then at 2nd level of Fighter you get Action Surge, allowing you to use 2 actions in a turn instead of just 1, but you can only use this once per short or long rest. Then at 3rd level of Fighter, we get a martial archetype, also known as a fighter subclass, and while Ash does know some battle strategies, he's kind of looked on as the champion against the Deadites, so I'm going to go with a champion subclass. When you choose this subclass, you get improved critical, so now when you make weapon attacks, you can score a crit on a 19 or a 20 on the dice. Then at 4th level of Fighter, you get an ability score improvement, so I'm going to go ahead and boost up our dexterity by 2 points, and this can help with our general chainsaw activity, because chainsaws usually don't have a lot of range, so I'm going to pretend that it's a short sword, and short swords are finesse weapons, so you can use your dexterity for them. Then at 5th level of Fighter we get access to extra attack, which is important for anybody swinging any type of sword, or especially a chainsaw. And then at 6th level of Fighter we get an ability score improvement, because fighters get more ability score improvements than most other classes. So we're going to go ahead and boost up our charisma by 2 points, making it so our blasting just works a little better. Then at 7th level of Fighter we get another feature from being a champion, gaining Remarkable Athlete. So you can add half your bonus proficiency, rounded up, to any strength, dexterity, or constitution check you make that doesn't already have your proficiency bonus. And just to add to that, anytime you make a running long jump, the distance you can cover is increased by the number of feet equal to your strength modifier, so that doesn't really help you at all. Then at 8th level of Fighter you get another ability score improvement, so we're going to boost up our dexterity again. And then at 9th level you get Indomitable, allowing you to re-roll a saving throw if you fail. Then at 10th level of Fighter you get another feature from being a champion, granting you an additional fighting style. So I would keep it pretty simple and just grab Defense, giving you +1 to your armor class as long as you're wearing armor. Then at 11th level of Fighter you get another extra attack, allowing you to attack 3 times as your action, and if you use your action surge, that turns to 6 times. Then at 12th level of Fighter we get another ability score improvement. So we're finally going to max out our charisma so we can really utilize that epic chin that Bruce Campbell has. Then at 13th level of Fighter you get another use of Indomitable per long rest. And then at 14th level of Fighter you get another ability score improvement. So we're going to boost up our dexterity again. And then at 15th level of Fighter you get another feature from being a champion, Superior Critical. So now you can crit on any roll between 18 and 20 on the dice. Then at 16th level of fighter, you get yet again another ability score improvement. And since we don't have to concentrate too much on spells, and we are pretty hard to kill, we're gonna grab a feat. We don't need the additional points in constitution because we can get even more benefit from taking the feat tough, so we can get 2 more hit points per level of our character. Then finally at 17th level and 20th level overall, you get another use of action surge per short or long rest, and 1 more use of indomitable per long rest. And at this point you may be thinking, what about that feat from being a variant human? Well, here's where you can get a bit versatile with it. If you wanted to ignore the idea of using Eldritch Blast in place of your gun and actually use a gun, you can grab the feat Gunner. Or if you wanted to use a crossbow in place of it to keep it a bit more medieval, you can grab Crossbow Expert. But personally, I would focus more on the chainsaw. I see the chainsaw as either being a short sword or a scimitar. While I think a short sword more visually might be accurate, a scimitar does slashing damage while having the same general features of a short sword, and I think a chainsaw would definitely deal slashing damage. So you can grab the feat Slasher. This can boost one of your stats, so you could mix that in a different way if you'd really like to, but what's more important is that you can reduce the speed of a target when you hit them with a slashing attack by 10 feet until the start of your next turn, and when you score a critical hit with a weapon that deals slashing damage, you grievously wound the creature. And remember, as a champion fighter, you're getting a crit on an 18 to 20. So you have a 15% chance to crit. So this is going to come into play more than almost anybody else. And when you grievously wound that creature, until the end of your next turn, the target has disadvantage on all of its attack rolls. Let me know what you think about this build in the comments down below. I'm happy that I finally have somebody to fight against all of those evil characters that I've been building for the Halloween season. But if there's any other builds you want in the future, let me know in the comments down below as well. Make sure to subscribe if you want to make sure you don't miss out on any other Dungeons & Dragons related content. And finally, if you made it to the end of this video, let me know by hitting that like button. And I'll be here hoping to roll at least 3 nat 20s in your next D&D session, especially if you want to play as an overly charismatic hunter of the Deadites with a chin that is just beyond epic, known as Ash Williams from Evil Dead and Army of Darkness. And every time you take down one of those Deadites, you can say, Groovy.